Hello, ladies and gentlemen. I am Brady Vini of the Steel City Sports Report. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the channel where we talk everything Steelers, Penguins, and Pirates. Anybody hit the reset button physically or mentally from yesterday? No, nobody. Okay, glad to see that. I am not the only one. Full transparency here when it comes to talking about that game from yesterday that the Steelers played and really everything else that we're going to talk about here tonight, we're going to wing it. Kind of ironic that I say we're going to wing it, seeing how that was the Pittsburgh Steelers game plan for every other facet of that football game yesterday, besides stopping Myles Garrett from breaking the sack record. Here in a moment, we'll start the show. We'll recap what went down in yesterday's game, and I'm sure a lot of you are going to have a ton of thoughts and opinions to weigh in on that game, so please feel free to get those in the comment section as we move along here this evening. After that, after we're done with our initial rant and spat about the Pittsburgh Steelers, we'll move into a bit of a brighter topic, that being the Pittsburgh Penguins. Kind of crazy that we're saying the Penguins are a brighter topic after the past month of torture they've been putting us through. After that, we'll get into some other loose end news and notes from the past few days now that we are coming out of the Christmas break, and we will go from there. But before we get started with all of that, if you are new here, first off, welcome to the channel. Welcome to the Steel City Sports Report. On your way in, please hit that like button, share this live stream, leave a comment in the comment section. Any thoughts, questions, or opinions that you may have, please get those in there right now. Would love to hear from you in the comment section. Also, hit subscribe on the channel, up to 675 subscribers here on the channel, so please get those in there. Hit subscribe. We need to keep growing the channel here. Also, go give the channel a follow at Steel City SR on Facebook, Instagram, and X. Go give it a shout out there as well. You might see on the new ticker behind us the Instagram channel for the Instagram, I should say, account for the channel will pop up back there. So feel free to keep an eye on that as well. A little discombobulated here today, but hey, after watching that Steelers game yesterday, I don't think that you can blame any of us for not being 100% right upstairs here today, because that was some ugly, mind-numbing football we watched yesterday, and we're going to start with it here in a few moments. Let's go to the comment section, though, before we officially get things rolling here. 9 of you in here now. Please leave your thoughts and opinions in the comment section on the Steelers or anything related to Pittsburgh sports. To the comment section we go here to begin. Of course, long-time viewer, Concepts, what is going on? Hope everything is well outside of, LOL. Everything is going well outside. Thank you, Concepts. I hope everything is going well for you. That's pretty much all we can do. Let's keep our minds occupied with some other stuff so that the Pittsburgh Steelers and other things going on in the sports world do not drive us crazy. The play I was referring to is 123 of the NFL highlights of yesterday's game. Talking about that Highsmith hold, I did see that. That will be mentioned in the recap here. But even though the refs did play a key factor in the result of that game yesterday, I'll explain why in a little bit. I am not going to give the Steelers any sort of benefit of the doubt with anything going on there. My only cope for yesterday is the Browns having the number one defense. That is the only explanation, which is still just a cope. I see where you're coming from there, Concepts. I do. Browns, Mike Tomlin said himself that the Browns defense is the number one unit in the NFL. Myles Garrett, of course, DPOY season for him. They got one of the best rookie, probably the best rookie defender in the game right now, Carson Schlesinger. He was fighting through injury throughout yesterday's game. You had Denzel Ward, one of the most underrated corners in the league as well. And, of course, Jim Schwartz, I still think, is a hell of a defensive coordinator. So, that is just a cope, but also no excuses like what you're saying here. Just adding context to what should have been, what could have been, but no excuses for the Steelers and what happened yesterday. Let's get right into it, ladies and gentlemen. We'll start talking about the Steelers and the Browns. The Steelers, their annual trip to Cleveland, rolling in to Cleveland yesterday on a 3-game winning streak to take on the terrible, just terrible. Can't state that enough. Absolutely horrendous. 3-12 Cleveland Browns. We all knew what could be because the Steelers haven't won in Cleveland in God knows how long. But the Steelers, they go into the mistake by the lake in Cleveland, Ohio. The Browns really having nothing to play for yesterday, as you know, they're starting a 6th-round rookie. They had a fairly banged up team, and their only thing that they really had to play for was pride, and I guess playing spoiler to the Steelers and maybe getting Myles Garrett the sack record. The Steelers, however, they had everything to play for, despite their slow start. Well, not slow start. Their slow middle part of the season. They had a chance yesterday to lock up the AFC North, but they had to deal with some adversity as well. There was another game missed for TJ Watt with his recovery from lung surgery. This was the first game served for DK Metcalf and his suspension. Plus, there were a whole bunch of other injuries for the Steelers at multiple positions. Still, though, going against the meager Browns, that should have been no sort of issue for Aaron Rodgers and company to overcome, right? Nope. Into recap real quick of what happened in the game. To begin the ball game, it was the Browns that started on offense, and boy, did they make the Steelers look unprepared. Cleveland quickly moved the ball into Steelers territory, but their drive stalled out at around the 35-yard line. They had to settle for a field goal. They landed quick, unexpected jab on the Steelers, but let's see if they could, turn it around and respond. How did the Steelers offense respond? How about 3 straight runs, one of which was a fumble that thankfully was self-recovered, and a punt. Outstanding. Sign of things to come for the Steelers offense yesterday. Picking up where they left off, it took the Browns 6 plays to go 86 yards for the game's first, and a bit of foreshadowing here as well. Their only touchdown score of the game. The first play, a 42-yard pickup to Cedric Tillman. Referees also missing a hold. That concept's mentioned on Alex Highsmith. The drive was capped off with a frustrating 28-yard touchdown pass to Harold Fannin. What was so frustrating about the touchdown catch? Shedeur Sanders only threw the biggest duck's ass rainbow throw that you'll ever see. And we saw then safety Kyle Duggar have an eternity to go and pick the ball off, but instead, for some reason, runs right past Fannin, barely even looking at the ball. One of the most god-awful pass defense attempts that if you want to call it a pass attempt, first off, one of the most god-awful pass attempts that we have seen this year. And that is saying something for a secondary that at points in the season have employed Chuck Clark and Juan Thornhill. Boom. Just like that, 10-0 Browns, completely preventable. However, Steelers offense, they did give us a little bit of hope. They've had a knack of doing this season, responding to a score against with a score of their own. Unfortunately, the score wasn't a touchdown, but rather a field goal. It was a wacky 10-play drive. It featured a phantom offensive pass interference penalty against Marquez Valdez-Scantling. Also, there was a 29-yard run for Connor Hayward out of the Spartan formation, but the drive was halted at the outskirts of the red zone, and it only ended in 3 points. Things continued to go further in the Steelers' favor. Sanders, he did hit Jerry Jeudy over the middle a couple of times for nice gains, but the Steelers' defense, they bowed up and they stopped the Cleveland offense on 4th and 6 to turn the ball over on downs. What did the offense thank the defense with? How about a 4-play punt series? Great stuff there. That's all right, though, offense. Feel free to suck all you want early on. Just get it together by the end of the game, won't you? That's what the defense said. Sanders, a pass attempt, hits off of the helmet of Logan Lee, flutters in the air, gets picked off and ran back to the Cleveland 31 by rookie linebacker Jack Sawyer. Again, handed a wonderful, wonderful, and awesome play by the defense. The Steelers offense threw it in the toilet, flushed it away. 3 straight run attempts. That led to a 4th and 1 for the black and gold. Needing a yard everyone would have thought, okay, Spartan formation, that's going to come back out on the field. Or maybe at the very least, we do a handoff to one of our two outstanding bull in a China shop running backs. Nope. Steelers did not do anything of the sort. Instead, with no real threat, by the way, of a wide receiver active for the Steelers for that game yesterday, one of Arthur Smith or Aaron Rodgers thought that on 4th and 1, it was a good time to throw an end zone go ball to the smallest wideout on the roster in Scotty Miller. Predictably, the pass uncontested and incomplete. That moment right there, ladies and gentlemen, I think planted the seed deep in all of us that the Steelers, didn't matter how many, good opportunities, an opportunity to change the game in a positive fashion, didn't matter how many of those attempts you gave to them, they were constantly going to find a way to step on a rake and smack themselves in the face each and every time. That right there, the game-defining play. The rest of it from there, academic. Turns out that play, that feeling of the Steelers weren't going to do anything right, that took shape literally one play after that incompletion. The Browns go 3 and out, but linebacker Nick Herbig, on the first play of that punt drive, dropped a guaranteed pick 6 thrown right at him. Shedeur was looking for an out route, threw another ugly pass with ugly spiral, goes right through the hands of Herbig, incomplete, and he had only a beautiful field of grass. Well, I won't say beautiful. That field at Huntington Bank Stadium yesterday was very, very terrible. But all Herbig had in front of him was just space and opportunity, and he couldn't catch the ball and got neither of those things. So that was awesome. With 1:51 left on the clock, Steelers offense was able to show a pulse and put up points before half with a field goal. At that point, halftime, we're like, all right, we're down by 4. Let's calm down a little bit. Let's wake ourselves up a bit and make the proper adjustments and go have a solid beginning to the second half like what we've had for the past 2 to 3 weeks. Wrong. Steelers offense, they go back out there, opening drive of the half. It was disaster from start to finish. 2 times the Steelers put the ball on the ground, were able to recover, thankfully, both of those fumbles, and a near sack from Rodgers, I should say, led to a punt. Fortunately, though, Steelers defense able to force the Browns to punt as well, in spite of Cleveland getting just a horrendous, softer than baby crap, roughing the passer call on Cam Hayward. Thankfully, that penalty didn't really amount to much because that was just awful. Ball back on offense. We got another small glimmer of hope for the Steelers offense as they appeared to be going on one of their long dink and dunk, but steadily moving the ball down the field type of drives. Awesome stuff. 13 plays ran, 8 up, nearly 8 minutes of clock. But again, when they get near the red zone, they then see the monkey with the cymbals in their head start to bang the cymbals, and just nothing right from beyond that. They had to settle for 3 with they had to attempt to settle for 3, I should say. Self-inflicted wounds, a terrible screen play call, a sack, forcing the Steelers to attempt to settle for 3, and then Chris Boswell misses a 36-yard field goal attempt. A promising drive then just comes crashing down, burning very, very quickly. After that, felt like the Steelers defense, if the Steelers were going to win this game, they were going to need to score a touchdown. They did give us a consolation prize, though. It was another terrible decision and toss-up throw from Shedeur Sanders that was picked off by Kyle Duggar. Also, real quick, do we need to have some sort of intervention with Kyle Duggar? I swear, it feels like every other game with him, he has some golden opportunity to make the easiest interception of his life. And then at some point later in the game, he makes, a more difficult play like that. It's crazy and it's frustrating with him. Should have had 2 picks in this one. After that interception, if you thought that the Steelers offense predictably did nothing with another turnover going up against only one of the worst defenses in football, defending off of turnovers, You were completely 100% correct. It was 3rd and 1 at the Cleveland 32. The Steelers, they take a false start. That was followed by an incompletion. Instead of going for it on 4th and 5, just beyond midfield, inside Cleveland territory, the Steelers decided to punt once more. The next 3 drives, they were showcasing the punters, the 2 teams exchanging punt attempts. That was until the Steelers broke that trend right before the 2-minute warning. Following 3 straight incompletions from their own 20-yard line, Mike Tomlin and the Steelers inexplicably decided to go for it on 4th and 10. In case you were wondering what happened on that play, yes, indeed, it was another incompletion. The Steelers give the ball back to the Browns, setting them up already in the red zone. What genius decisions made in the heat of battle by Mike Tomlin. Cleveland then ran 3 straight run plays to force the Steelers to turn the ball, or to burn all 3 of their timeouts. They kick a field goal with 1:40 left on the clock to make it a 7-point game. 2-minute offense time for the Steelers with the game on the line. Again, looked like Aaron Rodgers was going to put on the Superman cape and save us all. It took him 4 pass attempts, 3 of which were completed, for the Steelers to go from their own 35 to the Cleveland 10. That was in large thanks to 2 big pickups from tight end Pat Freiermuth, who we did not see a single bit in that game until that point. That is when the most god-awful play calling after a 3-yard completion to Adam Thielen with 29 seconds left. That is when the Steelers, with 3 shots at the end zone from the 7-yard line, we saw the most moronic, awful play calling of the entire 2025-26 Pittsburgh Steelers season. On 2nd, 3rd, and 4th and goal, Arthur Smith and Aaron Rodgers, I'm not even sure who to blame more here, probably Rodgers, they decided that the ball should be thrown in the direction all 3 times to Rodgers' old Green Bay buddy, Marquez Valdez-Scantling. The only problem, aside from MVS just downright sucking and being unreliable throughout the game up until that point, is that the first 2 pass attempts to MVS, he ran the wrong route, and on all 3 plays, he was only covered by the Browns' second best defensive player and one of the best corners in football, Denzel Ward. The best out of all of them was the 4th and goal play. MVS runs a fade, doesn't really come all that close to making the catch. He was blatantly interfered with by Ward, but that was not called DPI. To make things even better, replay review showed Kenneth Gainwell, running back, probably the best player on the offense besides Aaron Rodgers. That's not even a joke. He standing wide open in the middle of the field with no Brown defender 5 yards from him in any direction. And Rodgers didn't even look at him. Yeah, there's a whole thing to be said, the throw has to go to the end zone, but in that case, Gainwell, he could have strided into the end zone for the game-tying score. Or at the very least, if there is a Browns player that somehow gets to him before he's able to cross the goal line, I think he might be able to run over him just enough to extend that ball over the goal line. Just an absolutely horrendous outcome on a promising 2-minute drive where the wrong guy gets thrown the ball 3 different times, being covered by their best defensive back. A disaster class to wrap up a disgusting day at the office for the Steelers offense. Cleveland, after that, kneel it down. Final score, 13-6. The Browns keep Pittsburgh from winning the AFC North title, and they set up a winner-take-all game for the division next weekend on Sunday Night Football between the Steelers and the Baltimore Ravens. As much as I, just like the rest of you out there right now, as much as we all want to bitch and complain about the many missed calls or terrible calls from the officials against the Steelers in this game, the outcome, it is the correct one. The Steelers, in every way, deserved to lose that game for how poor of a performance they had, at least on offense. Can't tell me you can't score more than 6 points against the Cleveland Browns. Just still very, very hard to comprehend that. The Steelers also, they deserve whatever outcome awaits them in the coming weeks. Whether that be an embarrassing home loss to the Baltimore Ravens where you, for the final and ultimate time, squander away your lead in the division, or more likely, predictably get dismantled by whatever team awaits you in the wild card round of the playoffs. Also, this team clearly having no sort of wide receiver beyond DK Metcalf came back to bite them in the ass once again, so they deserve the loss because of that as well. But hey, at least Myles Garrett didn't get the sack record, am I right? Mr. Garrett, by the way, ended up with just 1 tackle in the game, which is easy to believe seeing how the Steelers clearly paid more attention to stopping him than winning the game throughout yesterday's contest. Another note on the Browns, this one pretty crazy. 3 different Browns quarterbacks, past or present, have all kept the Baltimore Ravens' playoff hopes alive at some point this year, with 2 of them having played for both the Browns and the Ravens in their careers. Joe Flacco, former Brown and Raven, started in Cleveland earlier this year. We remember, traded to the Cincinnati Bengals. He defeats Pittsburgh in that ugly Thursday night game from a couple of months ago. Tyler Huntley, who I think had a cup of coffee with the Browns, led the Ravens to victory over the Green Bay Packers on Saturday night, And now, Shedeur Sanders, who, by the way, completely ass yesterday. I believe he even had, just 20 passing yards in the second half. He was absolutely horrendous yesterday. His passes were just awful from him. Those 3 quarterbacks, Flacco, Huntley, Shedeur, all in some way, shape, or form beating the Steelers, keeping the hopes alive for the Ravens. The last, but certainly not the least, most damning statistic of them all from yesterday. The Steelers are now winless in their last 5 games versus teams that enter the matchup 8 or more games below 500. Let me repeat that. The Pittsburgh Steelers are now winless. I believe 0-4-1 with a tie mixed in there somewhere. They are now winless in their last 5 games against teams that are 8 or more games below 500 when the Steelers play them. It's insane. It's insane how the most layup of all layup games just completely get squandered isn't a strong enough word. I don't even know what is. Just frustrating beyond belief. Still, we're in the Christmas season here. Feel like Clark Griswold. Where's the Tylenol? Just absolutely mind-numbing there. Steelers also now 1-6-1 in their last 8 trips to Cleveland. Pretty sure that last win was with number 7 at the helm. Outstanding stuff from the Mike Tomlin-led Steelers. Speaking of head coach Mike Tomlin, we heard from him after the game, said that the Steelers did nothing out of the ordinary against Myles Garrett from a schematic standpoint. Yep, Mike, totally didn't look like you cared about protecting TJ's sack record first and winning the game second. We also heard from quarterback Aaron Rodgers. He was in a short, prickly mood. He said he does feel confident that the Steelers can bounce back against the Ravens next week, quote, because we've done it all season. That's when we play our best ball, except today. Linebacker Patrick Queen doesn't feel the same way. He took to X after the game yesterday, reposting a tweet saying the definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over again, expecting a different result. Pittsburgh Steelers fans only know that definition by heart right now for the past decade. And also, the last thing that we learned post-game yesterday was the terrible news that tight end Darnell Washington broke his arm early in the game, was wearing a sling for the remainder of the game. Tomlin didn't speculate any sort of return timetable for Washington, but a broken arm pretty much guarantees that he is going to be out for this winner-take-all game against the Ravens next week. That probably also means goodbye to the jumbo tight end package, goodbye to the Spartan formation as well, that tush-push thing that they do. Washington, will now join DK Metcalf, most likely TJ Watt, and maybe Calvin Austin and Isaac Seumalo and a whole bunch of other players riding the bench for the Ravens game. Love it. Just you gotta love it. You gotta smile in the face of adversity, right? As Mike Tomlin likes to say. Lastly, out of the 17 of you who I believe are watching this right now, if you've been here before, you also know that I like to do winners and losers after each and every Steelers game. Today, we're making it easy. Everyone's a loser. And I don't really need to break down player by player or position by position why everyone's a loser. In no way. I don't care if you're the coach, the quarterback. I don't care if you punched a fan in the face and got suspended. I don't care if you're injured and might not, play again this season. Losing to the 3-12 Browns with a ticket to the playoffs, in a home playoff game as well, on the line, losing to them, not an option. And the Steelers, they still found a way to do it. Gotta love it. If you want me to, I guess, say one thing positive about the Steelers' performance, I guess I could say Alex Highsmith had a good game. 2 sacks from him. Maybe a few others on defense, if you squint, had a good game. But I'm not giving anybody a break, not giving any sort of positive light today because this team does not deserve it. Quite frankly, feels like the season is over. The 9-8, 10-7, mediocre, stuck in the middle standard that this team, treats as a cult-like following, that continues. And guess what? Not a damn thing will change. So we're just going to sit here and we'll be having the same conversation about a calendar year from now because not a damn thing will change. Any thoughts on this game from the many of you in here right now? Feel free to get those in the comment section right now. I'm absolutely disgusted. I have a feeling you guys are as well. Let's go back here to the comment section. Concepts in here as well. Also got this person, Just Learning. Welcome, Just Learning. Bills were 1 play from losing to the Browns, so they must be trash too, according to the fan base in general, I mean. Yeah, but difference is that the Bills, I have an immense amount of faith in them more than I do for the Steelers to get up in a playoff game or a game that, matters in playoff. Livelihood hangs in the balance. Jeez. Magic in here as well. Welcome, Magic. Do WTF. Does any of that have to do with Tomlin? Send me help. I don't agree with that, talking about the field goal on 4th and 1. Besides, that wasn't much a coach could do. Everybody's getting it today. How about the decision not to punt when you're in Browns territory, but the decision to go for it on 4th and 10 from your own 20? That tracks back to one guy in Tomlin. Also, Tomlin, he's watching what the offense and Arthur Smith and Aaron Rodgers have done into the game up until that point. They've been making questionable decision after questionable decision. Maybe he buds in and says, hey, how about, maybe here on 3rd or 4th and goal, how about we throw the ball in the direction of Pat Freiermuth? Hasn't really been targeted at all today, but he had 2 fantastic catches that got us down here. Why don't we let him try to finish it? How about on 4th and 1, if you see Rodgers go into an empty set? That was probably the most frustrating part of that 4th and 1 go ball to Scotty Miller that I completely left out. You go empty set too. No back or player in the backfield with Rodgers. Just tell him that you're throwing the ball. Why don't you? Don't take any sort of, miss, direction or anything on the play beforehand. So, yeah, that's annoying as well. Jay in here. Welcome, Jay. Yeah, this is where I got really mad. At least try for 3 points. I see you there, Jay. I mean, hell, 3 points, Chris Boswell. Let's just say Boswell makes that field goal that he missed. He kicks a field goal on that 4th and 1 as well. That takes you to 12 points. Then all you needed to do on the final play of the drive, on the final drive of the game, get into field goal range, let Boz kick it. It's not like Boz hasn't won a game with 5 field goals before. As a matter of fact, I think that was the most recent Steelers playoff win, Boz kicking all field goals. So, yeah, I also don't know what's up with Boz here. Magic brings it up. I don't know what's up with Boz right now. That's now 2 games in a row with a missed field goal. I think this one in Cleveland, he did not adapt properly to the wind. The one in he missed 2 others this year. Both were in domes. That's concerning. So, yeah, just frustrating stuff all the way around for everyone on this team. Concepts also bringing up this hilarious from yesterday. Don't forget the false start on Mike Webster. Yeah, the officiating crew so bad yesterday that they called a false start on Mike Webster. Guess he is still snapping balls from the great beyond, Mr. Webster. Erased that 30-yard pass to Scotty Miller. Good mind right there, Concepts. Go in here, see what other comments we had. Reading all those before we pop it up. Just learning here. Garrett could have hurt Rodgers. I'm glad they protected him. We still have a chance next week. Yeah, agree with that. I mean, obviously, whatever game plan the Steelers had offensively was going to be centered around Myles Garrett. So they were overly cautious with Garrett, as they should be. However, it seemed like they cared a whole lot more than that at times than, taking a few risks to get the offense going a bit. That was what's frustrating more. And also, I get it. You want to keep Garrett away from Rodgers. Let's also not pretend like Garrett's more than likely going to break it against the Cincinnati Bengals or whoever the Browns play next week. So just delaying the inevitable there, in my opinion. Just learning here. I'm impressed with Ramsey. My hopes were low, but he still has it. Yeah, if you want to look at a rare positive yesterday, Ramsey, sort of a quiet day from him, but I guess he did all right. Does have that Steelers mentality that you love to have from a defensive back, so I love that. Concepts here. Why is nobody talking about the Zay Flowers touchdown from that Green Bay game the night before? Yeah, and then he swung on a fan afterwards. Yeah, I thought some Steeler fans other than me were going to pick up on that and say, hey, the hell? Jumped into the stands and he's getting physical with fans. Why isn't there any sort of suspension there? Guess you should suspend everyone for the Lambeau Leap now. But yeah, think that Flowers thing was a touchdown. I'm not going to argue it too much. The Browns have one of the best defenses in the league, so you can't afford dumb decision making. And indeed, and at some point, I think we can agree now that the game's over, and hindsight being 2020. Defense for the Browns, yes, it is an outstanding unit, but also, did the Steelers beat themselves more than the Browns defense beat them yesterday? I would say yes. I would definitely say yes. Too late for Myles. Can't break it anyway. TJ had 23.5 sacks in 15 games played. So Myles missed that already factually. Yeah, Concepts, you brought that up. I brought that up before the game yesterday, just in case Garrett did break the sack record. TJ tied the record in 15 games. Strahan set it in 16 games. And now Myles, it'll take him 17 to try to break it. Looking here. Zay took 2 steps, then dropped it. Never survived the ground. They never reviewed it. They kicked the extra point within seconds after. Yeah, I mean, we can go through the whole, going back to that Ravens game from a month ago now, the whole textbook rule of the law, what is a catch deemed by the NFL, but I just don't feel like going through that right now. Steelers, they had the opportunity to do it themselves and they failed, so I'm not going to look for any sort of, oh, the Ravens were gifted a win anyways here. So respectfully, concepts, just not really all that interested in that right now. 18 of you in here right now. Welcome to the live stream. Hope you all are having as fantastic of a Friday as you possibly can have right now after that Steelers debacle yesterday. Still, guess we can be in the Christmas spirit. Still got the tree behind me over here. Got this brand new received for Christmas ticker board scrolling right here. Hope you guys enjoy that as well. Got the Jack Ham jersey that I got for Christmas and took off in disgust. It's on a chair right behind this one. So, yeah, still Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays, Happy New Year too to all of you in here right now. Going to switch up gears here for a minute, ladies and gentlemen. Speaking of being jolly and bright, let's switch over to something more positive in the Pittsburgh sports world right now. And after a horrendous stretch of games, about a month stretch of games leading into the holiday break, the Pittsburgh Penguins last night were able to cheer us up a little bit after the Steelers did what they did to us. Last night, the Pens in action, first game out of the break. They were in Chicago to take on the Chicago Blackhawks, and it was a fun night for the Black and Gold. Fun evening for them. Sidney Crosby coming off of breaking the Penguins franchise point record, looking to take the Pens into battle. If you can't tell, I am stalling here as I bring up my notes from last night's game. Hot start for the Pens to the game. It was the Justin Brazeau show last night for Pittsburgh. First off, Anthony Mantha was able to get the game started for the Pens. Puck bouncing off of a face-off in the Hawks zone, and Mantha just, takes a whack at it. Not even sure he was looking at the net, but it goes through the wickets of Spencer Knight and into the net for the opening goal of the game. Quickly after that, back-to-back goals in quick succession. Justin Brazeau, Brian Rust, those two having fantastic years. Brian Rust, with 7:57 left to go in the first period, gets another. The Pens, I believe, scoring 4 goals on 7 shots, chasing the goaltender Spencer Knight and taking a 4-0 lead into the first intermission. They also showed some fight as well. Noel Acciari literally showing some fight. He dropping the mitts with Connor Murphy. Acciari, 5'11", 204 pounds. Murphy, 6'4", 212 pounds. And Cookie, as they call him, Noel Acciari, just feeds him some leftover lefts from Christmas dinner and then picks him up, like literally elevates him and dumps him on the ice. Hell of a scrappy showing there for Noel Acciari. But most importantly, Penguins up 4-0 after 1. Penguins fans hear that and they cringe. Oh no, the Pens with a very sizable lead as they head into the second and third period. That hasn't boded well for the Penguins in recent memory. The Hawks did get on the board early in the second period. Nick Foligno, their captain, who I believe was returning from injury for the first time in a while in last night's game. He does this in between the legs backhander that goes between the legs of Arturs Shalovs, who was in net for the Pens last night. Chicago, they then take a too many men on the ice penalty, and on the power play, 8 seconds into the power play, Justin Brazeau, all alone in front of the goaltender Soderblom, gets the puck, dekes the goaltender out of his shoes, or skates, I should say, and backhands it into the net, making it 5-1. Brazeau, a little bit later, Connor Dewar wrists it on net. Brazeau, the deflection, it goes in 6-1. Well, 6-2, because the Blackhawks scored like immediately afterwards, like within 10 seconds, I believe. But more importantly, Brazeau, another goal for him. It was a hat trick, the first career hat trick for Brazeau in Chicago against the Blackhawks. He's red hot year for the Penguins after he was thought to be, just a bottom 6 guy. He remains a key cog in the offensive production operation for the Pens. Brazeau also became the 4th undrafted player to score a hat trick for the Penguins in the past 30 years. The other very memorable names in Penguins history, Chris Kunitz, Pascal Dupuis, and most recently, Evan Rodriguez. Heading into the second intermission, the Penguins were able to tack another one on the board before the period ended. Noel Acciari gets a scrap, gets a goal as well. I don't think he got the Gordy hat trick last night, was an assist away from that, but getting another assist in the game. Ryan Shea assisting on that 7th Penguins goal. He, I believe, on that goal, capping off a 3-assist night for the Pens. He joins 8 other Pens defensemen in the last 10 years to have 3 or more assists in a game. Chris Letang did it 10 times, Erik Karlsson 3 times, Justin Schultz twice, the other 4, Trevor Daley, Chad Ruhwedel, P.O. Joseph, and Marcus Pettersson. So that was the score heading into the second intermission, 7-2. The rest of the game was pretty much just the Pens going into prevent defense mode. They did get a couple of more chances. Thought Ben Kindle had another good game generating some offense. The Blackhawks, they were able to score with 9/10 of a second remaining. Tyler Bertuzzi with the goal there. So the final score, just realized I popped up the wrong thing here for the Pens. The final score was 7-3, even though, like I popped up there, it really felt like the final score was 7-2. The Penguins, fresh out of the holiday break, back into the win column in a big way, and they didn't blow it. They did not blow a huge lead, which thank God for that, because that would have been completely insufferable after yesterday's Steeler game and would be par for the course. But who would have thought that the Penguins would score more points than the Steelers yesterday? I sure as hell did not. Also, by the way, in last night's game, Sidney Crosby breaking, or I guess I should say climbing up the all-time leaderboard once again. He passing, I believe, Adam Oates for 7th most primary assists in NHL history. Crosby helping the Penguins score 4 goals in the first period, assisted on a few of those. So congratulations to Sid. The Pens, more news, by the way, with them here today. Thought we were originally, just going to talk about some news from their practice today. Evgeny Malkin and Philip Hollander. Hollander still working back from a nasty blood clot in his leg. Those two gentlemen skating on the ice before Penguins practice. No Erik Karlsson today for the Penguins at their practice facility in Cranberry. He was out with an illness. Also, Ricard Raquel, he left the ice early. Not sure if that was anything injury related or not. We'll have to come back to that another day. But no Karlsson, no Raquel at Penguins practice today. Thought that was going to be the most newsworthy thing besides the game last night on the Pens today. And then the Pens, they go out and they make a trade. Right before we went live by about an hour and a half or so, the Penguins acquiring forward Yegor Chinakhov from division rival Columbus Blue Jackets in exchange for forward Danton Heinen, a 2026 second-round pick, and a 2027 third-round pick. So the Penguins adding a winger here today. Starting first on what the Penguins are getting back in this deal, I like Chinakhov, former first-round pick of the Jackets, still only 24 years old. Very, very young still. But yeah, Chinakhov, young, has still a ton of potential, in my opinion. This kind of feels like to me a, higher stakes version of the Philip Tomasino trade from a couple of years ago, where you buy low you go out, you get a young guy with some potential left in the tank who had a massive falling out with his former team. In Tomasino's case last year, wasn't getting into the lineup because I don't think he fit the system down there in Nashville. Chinakhov here didn't see eye to eye with Dean Everson, the Blue Jackets head coach. And after the Jackets, I think, added forward before the Christmas break in Mason Marchment. Chinakhov became expendable. Just 6 points, or let me check here. Just 6 points, 3 goals, 3 assists in 29 games for Chinakhov this year. But looking at the tangibles here, this could be a hell of an investment for the Pens. I'm cautious to say a buy low, reward high type scenario because it is a second round and third round pick going the other way. But Chinakhov, still young, has one wicked shot on him. Could be a power play specialist if you really want him to. Also has some decent wheels. I think you put him on a line with Sid or Gino, let him get right, build some confidence, get back to some form. You might, if you're the Pens, have a 30 to 35 point per season, maybe 20 to 25 goal scorer per season guy on your hand. So love that from the Penguins. Like it from Kyle Dubas bringing in a young, let's fix up a little bit player here. And Chinakhov could be one of those, pieces moving forward that you could lean back on as the core starts to fade out over the next couple of years. Chinakhov, by the way, in the final year of his rookie deal, so he will be a restricted free agent at the end of the season. Meanwhile, on to what the Pens gave up in this deal. Yes, second and third round pick, a pretty penny to pay for a dude who just has 6 points on the year. But the Penguins, they also have a ton of surplus to spend from. Before this trade was made, the Pens had 18 draft picks in the first 3 rounds of the next 3 drafts. So they definitely, out of any other team that was bidding for Chinakhov's services out there, they definitely had the most ammo in which to use to go get him. So they still got 15 to 16 top 3 round picks over the next 3 years. So I'll be all right with that. The loss of Dan and Heinen, that's a big old nothing burger. Heinen yesterday actually was put on waivers and cleared as the Penguins activated Blake Lizotte from injured reserve. So paper, swap out right there, player for player, but the Jackets also getting a second and third round pick. Let's see what Chinakhov can do. Excited to see if the Penguins can unlock some of that kid's old form. All right, ladies and gentlemen, about to begin to wrap up the show here today, even though we'll have a whole lot to talk about in this next segment. The extra Pittsburgh sports news segment coming up here in a moment. We'll have a lot to talk about over the past really 5 to 6 days with the whole Christmas break. The Pens, by the way, forgot to mention this, as you see on the ticker behind me, as I see it on my screen right now, in action tomorrow night at home against the near division leading Carolina Hurricanes. Puck drop at 7 o'clock in that one. Before we get into the extra Pittsburgh sports news, let's real quick take a stroll here through Twitter to see if we have any new bits of information on the Steelers or the Penguins or the Pirates. Looking here, this from Seth Rorabaugh, who covers the Penguins. To make room on the NHL roster for Yegor Chinakhov, the Penguins designated Ryan Graves as a non-roster, and they plan to place him on waivers on Tuesday. So that right there is no surprise. Ryan Graves, again, just showing some lackluster stuff in his return to the NHL. He's certainly going to go back to the minors because no one's going to dare to pick up that contract off waivers. Also, look in here more in depth on this trade. The second and third round pick going back to Columbus in this trade for Chinakhov. It is the St. Louis Blues second round pick in 2026 and the Washington Capitals third round pick in 2027 that the Penguins have owned that are going back to the Jackets in this case. So the Penguins' own picks in those drafts remain protected for the time being. Look and see if there's any new stuff here on any new stuff here on the Twitter timeline before we get into the extra Pittsburgh sports news. Keeping an eye on one big thing here for the Pittsburgh Pirates. They in on the Kazuma Okamoto sweepstakes. Okamoto's posting deadline coming up here on January 4th, so his time is running out to join a team, whether that be the Pirates or someone else. It was real quick looking at a 2021 first round MLB redraft. And the Pirates, who owned the first overall pick in that year, they took Henry Davis with that pick, selecting Jackson Merrill, who is the awesome young outfielder for the San Diego Padres. I'll say this, if the Pirates take Merrill in that draft, I don't think they get Skeens, so I'll take that trade off, even though Henry Davis has been underperforming a first overall pick. All right, ladies and gentlemen, let's get into it. Real quick, though, back to the comments section here before we continue on here. Concepts, don't blame you. I just had to say it for my mental peace. I understand Concepts. If you have anything on your mind, by all means, get it out. Yesterday's game sucked, but your coverage was great as always. Brightside, thank you for the therapy. I agree, Concepts. Thank you for the kind words, but also, talking through things in real time and getting, your guys' feedback on it as well. That really, I should say, makes us feel less insane about it, putting it one way in real time. So that's a good thing. Concepts, new here. Nice to meet you. Have to sign off early. We'll be back. Seems like a good group. Welcome to the group, Joy. Please, by all means, if you ever come across this message again, come on back. I would love to have you back here, Joy, on the channel. Be sure to hit subscribe. Also got this man in here, Joe Mann. Browns had 8 starters out. Don't remind us, Joe. Yeah, they had 8 starters out. They were down to their 3rd string tight end, which Shadur Sanders loves throwing to his tight ends. They were down to their 3rd string tight end. Njoku did not enter the game with a knee injury. And Harold Fannin went down early on the touchdown catch that he had with a groin injury. Simply put, Magic. Man, we suck, LOL. Brutal honesty, straight and to the point. Very accurate, very true there, Magic. All right, ladies and gentlemen, let's get into it. Begin to wrap up the show here with some extra Pittsburgh sports news. Want to start back with some Pittsburgh Steelers news. We got more information over the past 5 or so days on the DK Metcalf situation since I believe we last spoke on Tuesday of last week. A ton new stuff has come out on the DK Metcalf situation, including hearing from the fan himself. We'll kind of go in chronological order here. After we went off the air on Tuesday night, after the live stream wrapped up, the NFL did indeed uphold the suspension of DK Metcalf at 2 games. So Metcalf out for the rest of the regular season, missed the Browns game yesterday, will miss this winner-take-all Ravens game on Sunday, which, by the way, John Harbaugh today saying that the status of Lamar Jackson heading into this game is TBD or up in the air, whatever he said right now. So could be getting Snoop Hundley, could be getting Lamar Jackson, who the hell knows. Anyway, back to the Metcalf situation. His suspension upheld. Tom Pelissero of NFL Network, we'll mention him a bunch here. He said after the Metcalf suspension upheld that the NFL nor the Detroit Lions will take any further action against the fan involved in the altercation. Something must have changed within 24 hours as Pelissero came back for an update the following day, saying that the matter remains under review after hearing from DK Metcalf in his appeal hearing. The NFL and the Lions were, I guess, scheduled to follow up regarding the fan code of conduct. After that, that's when things turned into a bit of a circus. The Lions fan, who identified himself as Ryan Kennedy, announced that he, along with his attorneys, will host a press conference to quote, address the assault, correct misinformation that has been publicly repeated as fact, and discuss the serious consequences Mr. Kennedy has faced. That was on Christmas Eve that came out. Turns out Kennedy and his attorneys did host that press conference, and if you thought that this was, any sort of high profile, like we got a whole extravagant backdrop and this is like a very serious professional looking legal thing, they pulled out a pop-up foldable table. The press conference was on mute for half the time, but we did, from a couple of different reporters there in person, hear from Kennedy. Kennedy said, quote, I did not use any racial slurs, no hate speech. I mean, none of that stuff. Actually, never. 15 years season ticket holder for the Lions. I've never done that at all. So, DeKalen, if you're watching this, man, if you could just say that, please. We also heard from Kennedy's lawyer, who, talking about the incident last year, DK Metcalf, we remember saying that he had a run-in with this fan last year when he was a Seattle Seahawk. The lawyer saying no conduct violation was found at all. And in fact, Mr. Kennedy was allowed to remain for the entirety of that game last year as well. The last thing from Kennedy's lawyer, Sean Head, he did not announce any specific current legal action, but said, quote, right now we're evaluating all our options, of course. We're going to make sure that we use any legal remedies available to protect Ryan Kennedy and his family. So we heard from the fan in a, thrown together press conference with his lawyer and attorney. Then things shifted back into the court of DK Metcalf a little bit right before kickoff of yesterday's game. Jay Glazer, who's, I think, all buddy-buddy with Mike Tomlin of Fox Sports, before the kickoff of the 1 o'clock slate of games yesterday, on the DK Metcalf situation, revealed a bit of new information. This is a quote from Glazer. I actually have the security communication between the Detroit Lions and Seattle Seahawks security from a game last year when DK Metcalf, when he was with the Seahawks, complained about that exact same fan to security. He asked that the fan be removed over derogatory comments. I'm not going to repeat what the comments are that are on here because Glazer was holding a piece of paper. Obviously, we don't condone ever hitting a fan or anyone else, but in this, it says, when we investigated during the game, the individuals around him states and corroborated that the fan was being out of line and had indeed said these derogatory statements. They even asked us to remove the guy. So, who knows? Metcalf said that Kennedy said something derogatory about his mother, calling her the C word, called him, Metcalf himself, the N word. Metcalf saying that this guy said that. Well, clearly, this guy, at least in the past, in the Seahawks Lions thing from a year prior, must have said something out of line, because even fans were saying, yeah, what he said, what you're telling us that he said, he did say that. We asked him to be removed. This is where this whole situation, not excusing still, want to make that crystal clear, not excusing Metcalf going over and hitting this guy, but also could I see the mindset where Metcalf says, this same jackass, which this guy, after we talked about it, I believe, last week, where he said on camera or something, that was the goal after Metcalf hit him. So this guy clearly there to instigate, to antagonize Metcalf, saying that was the goal, is a jackass. But losing my train of thought here, don't condone, Metcalf hitting him, but could I see where Metcalf might come to the conclusion, this guy's here again, security did nothing about it, now I'm going to need to do something about it. I do see that. Not condoning the violence here, but Metcalf, this situation should have been avoidable. And should Metcalf keep his cool? Yes. Should the fan have been there? No. That falls back on NFL security. So that's the latest in the whole Metcalf thing. There's also a tweet circulating out there right now from a Hunter Kennedy on Facebook. That's going all around right now, saying that he is this fan's nephew. Said, quote, he's been trolling DeKalen for years, every single game in Detroit. Finally broke him. He's been talking about this day for months. So turns out this Kennedy, going there, targeting one guy, scumbag behavior right there, regardless of what he said and if the punch was warranted or not. Also, the last thing here on this whole situation, Metcalf, we mentioned that he had around $45-ish million in guarantees that could be voided because of this suspension. The Steelers, according to Glazer, after the fact, decided not to void Metcalf's guaranteed money. So the Steelers, they will not be saving any money, taking money away from Metcalf. Probably a smart decision, because this most likely going to be a one-off thing with Metcalf. And also, you do not want to rock the boat with your top wide receiver. More stuff on the Steelers over the past couple of days. We also heard yesterday, before the Steelers and Browns kicked off, from Tom Pelissero that linebacker TJ Watt, though he did miss the game against the Browns, Pelissero said that, according to his sources, Watt is expected to be ready for Pittsburgh's next meaningful game. He said at that time, whether that be in Week 18 or the playoffs. Now we know that the next meaningful Steelers game will be Week 18. We'll see if Watt is available. Just started practicing very, very lightly last week. Got a long way to go, in my opinion, to be in any sort of playing shape. So we'll see if he gets out there, if the Steelers use him sparingly or not. Mike Florio, who was on Sunday Night Football, said differently that Watt will not play. So we'll see there. Some cool stuff for Watt, though, and his wife, Danny. They did provide Christmas dinner to all families and staff, spending Christmas Eve and night at UPMC Children's Hospital. So that was cool from Watt and his family. Also cool, even though he had a less than stellar game yesterday, I thought Aaron Rodgers was a bad teammate, because he bought all of his offensive linemen a fleet of Can-Am ATVs. So that was cool there from number 8. Definitely has the money to do it. The last few extra things on the Steelers here this evening. There's a cool story out there on the Pittsburgh Post-Gazette of James Harrison, 20 years later, meeting up with the Browns fan that he suplexed when Harrison was a member of the Steelers. I think every diehard Steeler fan remembers that moment. That's a funny interaction in video I watched. So go check that out. The Steelers, we talked about their need for a wide receiver in a bad way. One of the top wide receivers in this upcoming NFL draft, Denzel Boston out of Washington, he declared for the draft a couple of days ago. Projected first-round pick, 6'4", 210, caught 20 touchdowns after over the past 2 seasons with the Huskies. Wouldn't mind snabbing him up at all. The last thing here on the Steelers making a move on the practice squad today. Steelers bringing back defensive tackle Kyler Baugh to the practice squad, releasing DB Darrell Porter Jr. So that right there, the latest in Steelers world in the news there. Moving back into hockey, just a tiny bit of extra Pittsburgh Penguins stuff here. The World Juniors right now, I think, going on, sort of Olympic-style tournament for the game's top prospects. Will Horkoff officially made the Team USA roster back on Christmas Eve. He, along with Pittsburgh native LJ Mooney, who I believe is a prospect for the Montreal Canadiens. Also, you had Harrison Brunick, who the Penguins loaned to Team Canada, wasn't doing a whole lot here in Pittsburgh, so why not go play meaningful game in an international tournament? Brunick did make Team Canada's roster even being named alternate captain. Good for him. Talking about former Pittsburgh Penguin Marc-Andre Fleury, who retired. Excuse me. Believe we mentioned before the Christmas break that Fleury was getting some calls from playoff positioned NHL teams asking for his services, seeing if he wants to come back for a playoff run. Frank Saravalli chimed in on this over the past week, saying if Fleury's gonna come back, it's gonna be with a team that has an authentic chance to win. I know he wants to play. In my opinion, please, if Fleury really is listening to offers, which I'm sure he is, it seems like having a bit of a tough time letting go of the game. Penguins, please go on a tear here through January and February and bring back Marc-Andre for playoffs. I would love nothing more than that. The last thing here on the Bucks, or on the Pens today before we get into the Bucks, thoughts and prayers to Matt Dumba, Penguins defenseman who is down in the AHL right now. I believe everything is all right. I don't think he sustained any injuries in a car accident he was involved in during his travel back to Wilkes-Barre from the holiday break. So he is getting an extended time off and absence from the Wilkes-Barre lineup, but thank goodness Dumba is okay. For the final time today, the Pittsburgh Pirates. First time mentioning them today. Congratulations are in order for quite a few current and former members of the Pirates organization. Congratulations on a hell of a 10-year career for Andrew Heaney, former Pirate pitcher who pitched for most of last season with the Pirates before going to I believe he went to the LA Dodgers and won a World Series there. Also think he won a World Series with the Texas Rangers in 2023 as well. Heaney calling it a career, posting a long retirement message last night saying that he was able to accomplish so much for not being a all-star or Hall of Fame type player in his career. So congratulations to Andrew Heaney. Also congrats to, I guess, one current Pittsburgh Pirate and hopefully once again a current Pittsburgh Pirate. Ryan O'Hearn, who just signed a 2-year, $30 million deal with the Bucks before we went into the Christmas break. He not only becomes a rich man, he also welcomed a baby girl into the world. Congratulations to Ryan O'Hearn. Also, congratulations to Andrew and Maria McCutcheon. They welcoming their 5th baby into the world. Congratulations to them. Please, Pirates, re-sign Kutch. You're doing a solid job here. Sign Okamoto, bring back Kutch, maybe add a lefty for the rotation. I will not complain at all for this offseason. Back into, speaking of Pirate roster moves, we got a little bit of new information on who the Pirates could be targeting. This, I think, the day after Christmas, Francis Romero, who does a ton of good work for the Baseball Writers Association of America, covers mainly Dominican and Hispanic baseball players. He revealing that the Pirates are one of several teams who have shown early interest in free agent third baseman Yoan Moncada. Moncada, a former New York or Chicago White Sox. I believe he might have bounced around another team or two before he played last year with the LA Angels. Moncada, third baseman, not really much glove at the hot corner, mashes right-handed pitching like you would not believe, but is the complete and total opposite. Probably just as bad as Jack Sawinski when it comes to hitting lefty on left. He is a switch hitter, so definitely his better side is the left-handed part of the plate. The Pirates, along with the Angels, looking to bring him back. The White Sox looking to have a reunion. And the Toronto Blue Jays have shown early interest in him. Moncada also dealing with thumb and knee issues last year, but overall a solid 2025 season. But should he be your opening day third baseman? I hope that he is plan C, maybe even D right now for the Pirates. Plan A, though, besides Eugenio Suarez in my book, but doesn't seem like the Pirates are interested in him. I will say, though, do like who the Pirates are targeting, though. Kazuma Okamoto, one of the top first basemen products coming out of Japan this year. The top focus, top priority for the Pirates, according to John Heyman, top MLB insider. Okamoto is apparently now inside the United States of America to meet with his agent, Scott Boras, who is the top player agent out there. And also Okamoto getting serious interest from the Bucks, from the LA Angels, and I believe from the San Diego Padres. Those three are the top teams. The Pirates right now, I think, are at the top. Close second is the Angels, and then a distant third is the Padres right now. So hopefully a deal comes up soon. Like I mentioned, Okamoto's posting date, he has to make a decision to either sign with an American team or go back to Japan by, I think, 4 o'clock on January 4th. That is a Sunday, so be on the lookout between now and this upcoming Sunday. Hopefully, it might be during the Steeler game. Who knows? If we're live for Steelers-Ravens Sunday night, if he signs by 4, then we'll be live for some breaking news Sunday before the Steelers live stream. So keep an eye out. Could be going live for some big Pirate news. Hopefully, Okamoto becomes a bucko and finishes up the task of adding 3 big bats this offseason for Ben Cherington. The Pirates, just wrapping up Pirate news here. Their division rivals, though, they did make some minor moves. Hunter Harvey, good relief pitcher, signed a 1-year or 2-year contract with the Chicago Cubs over the weekend. Also, the Reds, 2 days ago, making 2 moves, signing outfielder J.J. Bleday to a 1-year, $1.4 million deal, and also trading for outfielder Dane Myers from the Miami Marlins in exchange for outfield youngster Ethan O'Donnell. So the Reds, they add 2 outfielders. The Cubs add another reliever. The Pirates, hopefully, on top of already adding Brandon Lau at second base, Ryan O'Hearn to play a little bit of first base, a little bit of DH. Hopefully they make another big splash, continue this trend of making bigger splashes than all of their division opponents by signing Okamoto coming up here in the coming days. All right, ladies and gentlemen, still 10 of you in here right now. Before we wrap up the show here, let me take one more stroll here through Twitter before we wrap up for the evening. The updated calendar, or the updated, I guess, graphic here on the Pittsburgh Penguins draft pick layout for the next 3 years. We mentioned the Bucks, the Pirates. Oh my God, the Pens. Despite trading a second and a third to Columbus for Chinakhov, they still have 1 first round, 2 second rounds, and 2 third round picks in each of the next 3 drafts. 1 in round 1, 2 in round 2, 2 in round 3. That the exact same layout over the next 3 seasons. Love that there from the Penguins. See here if we have any last pieces of information before logging off here. This Chinakhov breaking news is everywhere. You wouldn't have thought that the Penguins won a hockey game 7-3 and outscored the Pittsburgh Steelers last night, but here we are. Apparently Yahoo Sports reporting that Okamoto has meetings set up with the Blue Jays, Cubs, Red Sox, Diamondbacks, Padres, Angels, and Pirates. So this market might be a bit more robust than previously believed. Yee, that's a lot of teams. I hope it's not in that order either, because the Pirates being last wouldn't bode well for them. I think there are a couple of, gives and takes here with the Pirates. Padres, Angels, even Diamondbacks in that case. West coast of the country, closer to home for Okamoto. But if you want to look at all those scenarios right now, maybe the Angels and Padres a little bit, but the Pirates, they have a just open spot. It's yours as soon as you put pen to paper. Starting position open for Okamoto. That might be the biggest the biggest, I guess, positive that they have to stand on here in negotiations, that Okamoto, you want third base, it's yours. If you sign here, these other teams, you might be in a bit of a competition or a reserve player bouncing around. So hopefully Okamoto becomes a Pittsburgh Pirate here soon enough. All right, ladies and gentlemen, I think that is going to wrap up things here tonight. Going to go one more time to the comments section. Going here, this guy, Gary, very upset in the comment section. Will I do it, Gary? Just because you said that in spite of you, I'll go, here we go. But do I believe we're going to do anything? No. I will do it. I will say, here we go, and be excited if the Steelers beat the Ravens. But will I get my hopes up at all? No. Concepts here. Final word here for the day. Appreciate the additional info. The media is conveniently ignoring what happened in Seattle with that goober. Conveniently, I should say. Makes it more obvious it's all fixed. Concept's going out with a bang, saying everything's fixed. Am I starting to believe that a little bit? Yes, but we'll see. Definitely is a wild time in Pittsburgh sports with tons and tons to going on. That is hard to wrap your head around all at once. But hey, we try here. So I think that is going to do it tonight. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for joining me. On your way out, please be sure to hit the subscribe button. Turn on notifications so that you never miss a thing again. Also, like this live stream, share this live stream, leave a comment in the comment section, any thoughts, questions, or opinions that you may have after the fact. Put those in there. I can drop you a like, even reply to you after the fact. Also, go give the channel a follow at Steel City SR on Facebook, Instagram, and X, and tune back in at some point later tonight for a new edition of SCSR 60. Thank you all. Have a good rest of your Monday night. We are back here tomorrow to talk about the Mike Tomlin Tuesday press conference and talk more about the Pittsburgh Penguins and Pittsburgh Pirates as well. Have a good rest of your Monday night. I'm out. Gotta go get this headache that the Steelers caused away. See you back here tomorrow. Same time. Peace.